Shukri launched a pioneering shared prosperity model in which Fort donated 1% of the company to its community trust as well as 10% to its employee fund. As the founder of the Rainmakers Journal, a thought leadership platform, Shukri's passion for non-traditional sources of knowledge has been crafted into a series of projects. Unwritten, a film under the Rainmakers Journal by Shukri Tofi has enjoyed critical acclaim. In 2017, Shukri launched the Create Movement campaign. The campaign aimed to decolonize and create a more equitable African creative economy. The movement received continent-wide support. Following this, Shukri was recognized as a young global changer and invited to the G20 Global Solutions Summit in Berlin, marking a shift from business leader to global keynote speaker. As a strategic advisor, Shukri's focus has been on entrepreneurship, business model innovation, storytelling, shared value, and private and public policy on economic and social development. This strategic insight is tangibly realized by Shukri's most current focus, his ability to identify and grow some of the most exciting growth businesses and startups, culminating in an overriding imperative: shape a new global landscape and create impact that reaches inwards but extends far beyond borders.
Good evening, thank you very much. And I just want to say, can we do a round of applause for the amazing speakers that spoke before us? Tough act to follow. Let's say that. Yeah, my face can be there the whole time.
Yeah.
So that is,
The girls are enjoying it.
That video all about me, like a 3-minute documentary you had to watch about me. But anyway, okay, so we'll leave that up. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And for regaling her story in such a fun way. She wasn't that rude at all, really. So yeah, I'm gonna take you through, and I was told what to speak about. So today, I've never given this particular talk, and it is negotiation and the perfect pitch. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of rope in some stories of my own entrepreneurial journey and kind of take out little tidbits from what I call my Rainmakers Journal, which is just kind of things that I've written over the last 13 years. So as you would have heard in that 3-minute video, we started Fort to pay back our student loans back in 2006. And so I think in the backdrop of kind of the context of South Africa and hashtag fees must fall, I think that in and of itself is, I think, something that I often do a lot of talks about. And I think that, we can break down statues and fight for our fees to be free. And what we should realize, however, that the real challenge and the journey starts after that. Like, do we have employment? Do we have jobs beyond that? And so I think it's really important that some of the things that we do as young people in this day and age can actually grow to be something that can sustain yourself, but actually sustain and grow a greater ecosystem around you as well. So here's my story about negotiation and pitches. So at UCT, and I grew up in Cape Town, and I'm now a proud Joburger. I must say.
Wasn't big enough for Joburg.
Yeah, no.
So my business partner and I started. We didn't own a car, so we were like real kind of broke-ass, penniless students. And if any of you've been to Cape Town, we walked down to Rosebank Station over the main road and took the train into Cape Town CBD, and that's where we saw our first clients. So here's the thing, right? So everything I tell you about what you can do from a negotiation perspective and from a pitch perspective really goes out the window, because at 22 years old, I went to those people and I was like, hey, do you want to give us some business? We have no track record and we've never done it before. And I think that in and of itself is a story. And so I was telling something, there might be some things that you may want to write down and jot down and actually take them down and let it marinate and think about it, because if it doesn't make sense tonight, it may do in years to come. And so the real story is that and I'm not going to rehash some of the great things that have come out of the previous talks, but people buy your story. And so there's no way in hell that anybody gave us an opportunity to do marketing, creative services, when we had zero track record at all. So they liked us, they liked our story, or they felt sorry for us, I don't know. Right? That's also a tactic. And so I think the first part is that people buy stories, and Simon Sinek says that people buy the why and not the what you do. So that's really important to kind of know, and there's some really interesting talks on YouTube about that by Simon Sinek. But just generally speaking, I think some real misconceptions. So I work in advertising and then also in private equity and venture capital. So I get pitched to all the time, and I give a lot of pitches. And the first thing I want to tell you here now is that no one cares about your shit. Only you do. And I think that's a massive misconception. People are like, I've read every book about this topic. I've asked my grandmother, I asked my clever uncle in Canada, they all love it. We don't care unless it relates to us and we think it actually works. So that's the first thing. Can you actually get out of your own head and realize that your starting point is that no one cares. No one cares what you have to say and what your project is about. Once that's your starting point, now you can move from there, because now there's some things that you can kind of talk about. The other thing that I want to, that's quite important, is that it's not about you. So you might, if someone said, okay, this guy's going to talk about the art of negotiation and the perfect pitch. So I'm probably going to tell you that you should stand up straight and make sure that you're kind of, you're not speaking from your diaphragm and not from your throat, because you'll lose your air eventually, right? So it's squeaking and you're like, and then your just nerves go up and all those kind of things. So those are kind of hygiene purposes. But the really important second part of it is that it's not about you, it's about the person that you're speaking to. So there is no formula for the perfect pitch. So I'll give you, and again, there are many ways to skin this, and you can go ahead and research this. But when you meet someone and you look at them and you see that the way they speak, you'll see that generally speaking, and they are depending on what personality typing tool you want to use. You could say that if you use an Enneagram, there are 9 people. If you use the basic colors, there are 4. But generally speaking, I'm just going to use 2 examples to kind of give you, to kind of drive home my point. So you get the red, action-orientated people. It's not about the steak, it's about the sizzle. And so what you do when you walk into that room and you're pitching to someone like that is you actually have to get excited. And you have to throw away all the detail, and you've got to sell it to them. You've got to sell them the dream. You've got to speak their language. And so, I mean, a lot of this kind of theory is also about kind of picking up a partner, right? Because it's about, well, this person just gets me. We just have this connection. Why? Because the person has actually connected to you on a certain level. So another person when you walk into the room is going to be super detail orientated, like a blue-green type person. And they're going to want you to actually speak slower. They will not be impressed by you rambling on, selling the dream without going through the details of what you're talking about. Which again, there's no such thing as a perfect pitch. So when you go into a pitch environment, you need to be able to pivot and realize that I've gone in, I was going to tell them my great story. Shukri told me to tell them that's about the why and the purpose, and this person just wants all the detail. Well, that's who you're dealing with, and your pitch is going to be completely different to how you practice it with your family over dinner in front of the TV. And now you've got to slow it down, and you've got to give them the detail, and you've got to hopefully have the other pieces of information for you. And so here's the thing, people say that you rise to the occasion, but you actually sink to your level of preparation. And so what's really important is that what you prepare, you're probably going to speak and pitch 20% of that. And what you plan to say might be 40% of that, and then in the moment, you've got to be able to be agile enough to be able to move beyond that. Yeah. So I'm not going to, I hope we're going to get to a part where there's more of a Q&A. The second part, and this is maybe, and for some of you who run small businesses or are consultants and things, is there's something called negotiation theory, if you studied political science at university or have read anything about that. And so the basic theory is that if the US Secretary of State, who's not the president, has been designated to fly to Germany, let's say, and negotiate with the Chancellor, the person who has the lower designation, in fact, has more power within that negotiation. Okay? So think about that for a second. And what that basically means is that if the German Chancellor says to the US Secretary of State, I really want you guys to invest in this committee or a board or people to go back to and speak to, gives you more power in that context. So if someone says, can you do this? Well, I have to, I'll call you back. I have to speak to the powers that be. Put the phone down, turn around 3 times, phone them back, and then tell them what you really want. And so there's this illusion that you have more people, and that's really important. I mean, I think in the early days when I was wearing my dad's shirt and shoes and going to meetings, people would say, well, your boss is lucky to have you. And I'd be like, yeah, he's a cool guy. Yeah, he's giving me a great chance. And that was okay, because that was needed in that particular context, because we were these ambitious novices, kind of running along, doing our thing. The other important aspect of negotiation and pitching is that if you've read The Art of War, the first rule is don't go to war if you don't have to. So if you can get someone else to do the negotiation or the pitch, do it. You do not have to go directly and pitch it to someone if you know there's a different route to make this happen. And so I think, again, that's really important. We sort of prop ourselves up and buoy ourselves up and say, we need to go out there and we need to pitch it and sell our dream. But very often, the greatest strategists are the ones that can make things happen without actually moving anything. Just by whispering this way, cajoling over here, perturbating over here, and things happen for you. So I think that's a really important aspect of what I want you to think about tonight. Very basically, and I always say this to our sales teams across whichever business I'm at, is speak second. So again, overly simplistic story. If I have a business and I sell black and white clothing, black garments and white garments, and I go to this guy over here and I say, hey man, I've got amazing clothing to sell. I've got black clothing and white clothing, and it's amazing. You look great in white and you have black, and it's just, you should buy some of my clothing. If I had let you speak first, I may have known that you'd say to me, hi, how are you doing? I'm good. Yeah, I'm interested in clothes. Here's the thing though, I hate black clothing. Okay, then if I spoke second, what would I have said? Hey, I have amazing clothing to sell you. You should buy my white clothing. And I will not even tell you that I make black clothing in that particular context. So half the time, your pitch is created by the person that you're speaking to. And very often people go in there with their pitch in mind and they say, this is what I'm going to do, and they just bombard you. Oh, we can help you with this, we can help you with this, and then you realize, oh my gosh, this lady's son actually runs this part of it, so there's no way that I'm going to be able to kind of get that through in this particular context. So again, think about that. Are you speaking second? Are you able to adapt what you're saying to what people are actually telling you first? The next thing is, do you have environmental awareness of what particular situation the person is in? So again, a lot of this is not about you and your pitch and how much copy you should have on your slide, and how, what words you should use and all those things. It's actually saying that if this person that you're speaking to at the moment seems really preoccupied, she's on her phone, she's stressed out, it's not the day to say, please fund my project. It's just not. But if she's there, saying, I feel amazing, let's get beers for everybody on a Thursday afternoon, it's Puza Thursday, maybe that's the day to say, things are going so well, I really want to, start this project, pitch it to her, then start to negotiate that. Because the moment that you hear a particular idea and the mental state that you're in colors that idea for the rest of the time that that person could ever speak to you about it. So if I speak to you about that project and say, hey, I really have this amazing project, I need 500,000 Rand for this, but at that moment you were super stressed because your ADT security had just called you, you're still going to color whatever I say with that particular thinking. Another thing is, every story, and this goes back to the storyline conversation, has a 3-act narrative. Every story in the world. Some of them are broken down further into like 6 acts and things like that. But basically, let's take The Lion King. An amazing time in wherever they are, in Kenya or somewhere, and then Mufasa dies. There's a problem. It's like pain. There's a pain, right? And then the rest of the film is like, okay, Simba goes away. Is he going to come back and save the day? You're on a cliffhanger. Please give me the solution already. I really want to know. I didn't even know I had a problem, and now I want to redo the carpets here. You know what I mean? Because you just told me there's a problem. I'm like waiting to take out my checkbook and sign for new carpets because you've set up the problem and where we are, and then what needs to be done immediately after that. So the last part, and then I think what I prefer to do is actually have more of and have time to take some more questions, because I think that's where some of the real magic is. It would be the most noble profession in the world. It's what turns the economic wheel about everything that we do. So you can come up with the best idea in the world, if you're unable to convince anybody to actually have a go with it, we stand still. So Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, says, we don't have to be the best author in the world, we have to be the best selling authors in the world. And so what I'm not telling you is that you need to go out there and sell subpar products and don't do or services, but don't stand on the edge of the precipice and not jump because you feel like, oh, there's something better out there. The people that win don't have the best products necessarily or the best services, and it's something that the Americans do really well, is they know how to close things. Like ABC, always be closing. That's what they do. And so we've got to know that we have to be the best selling authors and not necessarily the best authors here tonight. And then finally, just to kind of wrap up, and I am quite old school in that I wrote my notes out on the book here. Is I want to just kind of go to the two of you and say thank you so much for the amazing work that you do. I was very honored, and I think some people were kind of puzzled. Wait, you're speaking at future females? You're trying to tell us something? Like you're a future female? But I do want to say this, and this is outside of what you asked me to speak about, because it's kind of what I think is, I just want to actually go here for a few seconds, right? There's an amazing podcast which is on the Harvard Business Review IdeaCast, which you should definitely listen to. And it's, why are we still promoting incompetent men? Who's anybody listen to that? You should listen to it. Why are we still promoting incompetent men? So the one thing I did do was I listened to this podcast, and so I'm not going to steal the thunder, listen to it. But in essence, it's about the fact that men have this bravado and think they deserve to be there. And it goes back to being the best selling person of who they are. And it's a much more multi-layered, complex kind of topic, and kind of a topic for a different night. But I think it's a really important thing. Tonight I have my CFO, Judy, stand up, and he's here. And I have Andrina, who's our COO over here as well. You can also stand up. And I work hard. You guys, I work really hard to try to look around and say, is this room diverse? Not this room, but like the boardroom that we're in. Like, can you catch yourself either by your privilege, by your gender, by your position of power, and make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people that are different to you. And so I think I'm an example of a CEO who has surrounded myself with dynamic people and in this instance, dynamic women that really drive things forward and have taken things to a completely different level over the last 6 years. So I do want to say thank you to them. And then the last part is this, is that, I said last a few times. People for the people that work at Ford, they're like really last workers. I was going to kind of, is that and it goes back to kind of catching your own bias and your own sense of privilege, right? So we live in a country where there's so many multi-layered aspects of what it means when we talk about white privilege and male privilege in South Africa, and those are real things, and we need to understand our own biases towards that from whichever rose-tinted glasses we look at the world. And something that we did as a business a couple of years ago, is that we said, can we catch ourselves from inherently having some gender stereotypes within our business in the way that we speak about things and the language that we use, and can we try and find a way culturally to shift that within our particular business? And so we started something called Raise the Bar, which is basically if someone's saying something, man or woman, saying something that we feel is kind of just, it's just not in keeping with creating a dialogue of diversity and promoting kind of a sense of inclusion and understanding, it's like, hey, let's raise the bar. Like, we don't make jokes about those things. We're not going to sue you, we're not going to penny sparrow you, but the point is, can we just raise the bar around what we do? So it's something that I take very seriously. It's something that I endeavor to try and understand and work towards in both Fort and some of the other businesses that I'm investing in. And as I said, I was very proud and privileged to be part of this, and keep up the amazing work. So thank you very much. Questions?
Thank you very much. Really informative. I have two questions, so I've got to choose one, right?
Go.
Okay, so the first question is, you said speak second. So how do I encourage the other person to speak first? What's a good, like you go first.
So the interesting thing, and again, I help people out who are saying like, I really like this person, and I'm trying to make them like me back. And I'm like, the best thing you can do is to ask good questions. Like, just genuinely, authentically look at them in the eyes and say, so, how are you? What do you do? Really, and listen deeply so that you can ask a follow-up question, and it's going to roll, and it's going to roll, and it's going to roll, and sort of just set the tone that you're the one asking the questions, and you're super attuned and listening, and that's how it works. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes the person knows, and they'll just push back and say, I'm not telling you anything about me until you tell me about you. Then be as generic as you can be, tell them what you can, just be like a little bit cagey, and then let them speak, and then you come back. I'm saying, but ultimately I think that you get better at it.
Just active listening. It's really listening to what the other person is saying and not looking to respond to what they're saying, but listening deeply to what they have to say.
Yes, and actually I think listen to understand and maybe understand deeper.
Yeah.
And it's a great technique for all relationships and for everything in life. But in this particular context, if you're trying to negotiate and get your way and pitch something, understanding where they are is really important.
And then my second question, please, is how do you know if they're a red or a blue person? Do you stalk them on Facebook?
So many ways, and so this is where it becomes like super like, who are you, man? Are you like a psychopath to be like that, to kind of judgmental about what you see and what you pick up? So definitely research. So if you can, go online, check them out, speak to people, get a sense and say, hey, what's Sarah like? Is she like this? Is she like that? Blah, 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 just to get a sense. And then, again, you get these non-verbal cues about how people generally are. And again, this is super judgmental and you could get it completely wrong, and this is in a context of negotiation and pitching. So we don't want to walk around and as I look at you, I judge you and I like, you're a great sports person because you have a sore knee and like that. Because, so we don't want to walk around judging people, but in the process of negotiation and pitching, you actually do want to have an understanding of where this person is. This person's fidgeting. They want me to end. Like, if I can do this quicker, I'll be able to do that. So you might not understand exactly who they are, but you can get a sense of the energy. And it's about coming in at the energy of the room and then cranking it up. And then trying to take it to the level that you want to take it to. Just one more thing, sorry, this is, it wasn't in my
Questions,
thing, which is I think is
go.
important. And there are 3 tones of speaking. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
So some people, but like, you know this?
No, she only knows loud, that's why.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let me see if I can do this well. So you firstly, you want to be at, she wants to leave, I mean the good old man. I'm sorry. I'm fine. No, so, and be aware of this, right? Take people on a journey. And I don't know if you felt like I did. I'm slightly conscious of it, right? But your normal way of speaking needs to be the sage. It needs to be comfortable to listen to, calm, collected, like what I would call like the honey part of who you are. Okay? But then at moments, you need to tell them why you need this investment. And you need to go up to your warrior voice, which is where you speak potentially all the time. We have to knock down this building and build a new building because that's what's required, because you need to be there. And then at other times, potentially, you need to be the lover. And your impact line is more impactful when you say, we need to break this down, you know, because that's what's required. So I think far too many people think they need to hammer you for 5 minutes. And it's like, I don't know, there's no light and day between what you're saying. I don't know what's important and what's not important. You're like as excited about like telling me who you are as about what you need from me. Like I'm confused and I'm tired. So have an awareness of where that is. Your impact line doesn't always have to be up. It can be with a dramatic pause. Just let people let it just sit. So I'd like more questions because I think it's really where the fun starts. So we'll go 1, 2, 3.
There'll be more with you.
What is the impact in the business
in the context of getting a job or in the context of... So, I'm going to answer that in a slightly in a few ways, in a slightly roundabout way. The one is, you have to start thinking of yourself as a brand. I played a 3-minute documentary on myself, quite crazy. I front up to being that guy. But you have to build a personal brand about who you are, so that people start talking about that. And so when you go online and I check you out or things, there's a brand association. People want to be are attracted to people they think are going to add value to themselves, consciously or unconsciously. That's one. 2, you have to commit yourself to networking. Like, your job is not 9 to 5. There is no such thing as work-life balance if you want to achieve anything in the world. So you have to constantly say that in my week, who am I speaking to? How am I getting out there? Because the reason you'll be in the room is not because you had the best pitch or the best CV or the best business proposal, because you probably know someone.